If you guys want to pile in, I was just moving around and I accidentally ended the space. Um, I know it's going to be difficult to get people back in here. Oh man, I hate the fact that I made that mistake. I really wanted to hear what that brother had to say. But like I said again, that was my mistake. I accidentally pressed the button to end the space. I wasn't trying to do that. If you guys can do me a favor, let's share this space so we can try to get the people back in. Can try to get the people back into the space. Oh, and if you're new here, like I said before, I do have a YouTube channel, and I put my spaces, my Twitter spaces, on the YouTube channel. All the spaces are recorded so you guys can watch the play. So yeah, like I said, man, damn, I apologize. Let me see, who do I have here? Who do I have here? I just got a lot of people. Man, I had a lot of people in that chat room. It's really unfortunate. But what the brother was saying, so let me speak while the brother was until the brother gets back. Hopefully he gets back and he can continue his point. But what the brother was saying was absolutely true. Okay, we've allowed these people to come in and they have this vitriol, and we're talking about how Pan-Africanism, we need to still keep trying for Pan-Africanism. Yeah, okay. First off, number one, Pan-Africanism is supposed to be beneficial to both of us. Pan-Africanism has always been beneficial to one side. Okay, they've never really benefited us to any large degree, collectively speaking, of course. They've never really benefited us like that. Secondly, they absolutely refuse to participate in Pan-Africanism. I'm gonna have to change the title of the space because I don't feel like we're necessarily talking about Yvette. I'm gonna change that a little bit later. Right now I'm moving around, so that's why I accidentally I swear I hate the fact that I made that mistake. I accidentally ended the space before. Um Rose from the DMV, you can unmute yourself. I know you request to speak.
Hey, brother, how you doing? Yeah, I found you because I was wondering what happened. It just shut down, and you had a lot of people in there. It was a pretty robust conversation, so I just wanted to take a let you just had that conversation again. But yeah, it seemed like I mean, we had the similar kind of space where we were like, which one gives us more power? We were talking about the ADOS or Friedman, and we had like three different spaces with it, and we were talking like you're talking, just straight business. Like it's not on any emotional kind of thing or whatever the case. Some people initially they came in and we started pulling out, like, because when we're saying Friedman, we're definitely talking on political history that's already documented, and we're like, give us our reparations, because we are supposed to have federal protections, and we're supposed to have certain things that are coming to us that never ever did. So that and nobody could really come for us and come for our necks like that. So but basically, yeah, I mean, I really do like your spaces because it's based on political, I say, for us it's like, so it's based on that education, right? um and that's what we wanted. We wanted to make sure that people are learning something. And when I like you personally and professionally, and I'm proud of you as, because you are very astute. When people gaslight, you can feel that, and you just start asking the right questions, and then you're able to separate what's real from what's fake, and you asking all the right questions. So I just wanted to come back in to continue to encourage you to keep on what you're doing, ask questions, make assessments from the answers. Are people answering you directly, or are they trying to be politicians and evade you? So I do want to just commend you for your astuteness on that, and keep doing what you're doing. I'll land.
Thank you, thank you. I greatly appreciate that, and I hope that everybody is benefiting from these spaces. I know these spaces can be entertaining, um, but we're not necessarily trying. We're aiming for these spaces to be beneficial and educational, for these spaces to clear up some things, or for these spaces maybe to reimburse what you already believe in. Maybe you feel empowered by listening to some of these spaces. Maybe you have thought these things, but you weren't able to articulate them, and you're listening to space. I know I do that often. I listen to space, and most of the time I agree with the people, but they've articulated points from their point of view that I would have thought of given my point of view. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of benefit to these spaces. Like our brother from Haiti, he was saying he grew up and his parents were tethers. He grew up and his parents treated foundational Black Americans like they were less than. He grew up and his people were always being taught that and this is something that honestly happens all the time. Their people are taught that they're better than us. Their people are literally taught that we're not as educated, and the reason why they do better than us is because um they're harder workers, they're smarter, they have family values or whatever. And we're out here, we're selling drugs and we're doing everything we're not supposed to be doing and blaming everything on the white man. That's what they're saying. And when they get their ass beat and nobody comes to help them because they're the ones, and we don't come to help them either. And they're starting to realize that now, because they they are the ones who come here. And man, if I can find this, actually I think I will. Let me see if I can find this on my jumbotron. They're the ones who come here and they're saying no to reparations. They're the ones, like let me put this up on my jumbotron right now. They're the ones who are coming here saying, oh, foundational Black Americans don't deserve reparations. Okay. And then you got I'm gonna put this on there too. You got Asians in Asia beating the hell out of no, Asians in Africa beating the hell out of Africans. But they're coming in here and they're saying that we don't deserve reparations. They're coming in here and saying we're lazy. They're coming in here and saying we're uneducated. Okay. They're
Well, brother,
literally
this is
trying
the
to
thing
replace
too.
us.
This is the thing too, brother. Afro Elite, they want to come in and they want to get pieces of the reparations. That's just amazing. I mean, they could have walked off the plane 2 minutes ago, and they immediately want to get full benefits. And that's another thing when you start going to like Howard University and a lot of these HBCUs, many of the scholarships are actually given to them. Now, it was set up for us because of the disadvantages that were happening between chattel slavery and now, and what happened to our ancestors from Jim Crow to Black Codes, peonage, you name it. A lot of people may not even know, but even after chattel slavery, they were just grabbing people up. You can go visit a family member and they catch you out there walking by the railroad tracks. They'll say, hey, you owe me money. There's an actual documentary film on YouTube called Slavery by Another Name. And they grabbed people up and just started making them work. And they didn't, unlike chattel slavery, they didn't give a damn if the people died or not, because then they just scoop up some more people. And they had them working like 2 miles deep in mines and all kinds of caving happen. Guess what? They'll scoop up 10 or 15, 20 more, other brothers, and they'll put them in the mines to dig right where that cave, fell in or whatever. They didn't care because they didn't have to take care of them, but so much. But it's all of these things that had happened to our ancestors, and they still feel like they want to come over here and just eat off of the fruit of the work that that the blood, especially the blood, the sweat, tears, death that we put in, our ancestors put in, and they basically want that. But if they know that they're not going to get it, that's where people in Narcan and Cobra are coming in. Now check this out. I'm listening to the AB 3121, and it's a guy with a very distinguished Caribbean accent. I don't know what his if he supported lineage based reparations or not. But the mere idea and insanity, I mean, of someone that's a first generation from another country coming over deciding whether or not we should get reparations is an insult. What do you think about that, brother?
I fully agree with you on that. I 100% do. Now, the brother Andre, when he was talking about shouldn't we unite with them and they're coming over here just like I put on the jumbotron. They're coming over here and saying, "Yeah, I don't agree with reparations. I don't agree with cash or who would get reparations? Why can't we get reparations?" I had a space not too long ago where some woman, I forget what country she was from, she was arguing, "Oh, well, slavery didn't just happen in America. Slavery didn't just happen in America. America participated in these other countries too. So why shouldn't I get reparations even though her family immigrated here?" The thing is that they come over here and they deliberately will mess up the bag for us. Like I said before in the previous space, the analogy of we're reaching our hand out to save their life and they will literally fall to their death then accept our hand. They will literally fall to their death then be on code. They will see their people be doomed then be on code because we don't go. I would never ever go to any other country and disrespect the natives the way they come here and they disrespect us. I would never go to Jamaica. I would never go to Haiti. I would never go to any African country, and I would never say, "You know what, even though I'm not from Nigeria, my family isn't from Nigeria, and I really don't have a birthright to this claim, I still feel like my opinion matters in this issue." I would never say that. And they come here and and the dominant society gives them platforms. They literally let them on news channels and big speeches and conferences. They give them platforms so they can be tethers, so they can be naysayers. And then the dominant society turns around and say, "Well, a black person, all black people don't agree with reparations. Well, he is black and he said no, so you know what I'm saying? It's not like I'm racist for saying no. All black people don't agree with it." So that's why we have to get them out the paint. They're like weeds in the garden that's killing the plants and the vegetables and all the fruits and stuff. We have to pull them out. Okay, because they're weeds in their own land. That's what you saw that Jamaican dude laughing. He's not doing anything in his own country. He's not doing anything in Jamaica. Those are the losers from Jamaica who come over here and they try to be the losers of Black America, and we won't let that happen.
I mean, brother, let's look at it this way too. What you said is absolutely right. I mean, if somebody's winning in their country, why are they coming over here to build anything? That they should already have built something. And for me, I don't. I'm not speaking as a blanket statement to every person who immigrated over here because we do have riders that are from different countries that are coming here. But for the most part, that's on an individual basis, not a massive group basis. And for me, it's like if they're sitting here trying to basically come in and replace us. I mean, I call it the case of the body snatchers. If you're from DC, you in the go-go, you understand what I'm saying, of sci-fi. They come over here and they're looking at their skin tone and they say, "Hey, they're black, let's put them in there." And they're readily, willing and able to accept that and then look down their nose at us. Then they are the problem. That's the problem. You can't just say, I'm not saying you, but I'm just saying individuals cannot say white supremacy, and you have these other people that are coming at that are the black faces of white supremacy. So we have to gate up against that. We have to make sure that we're not being taken down that road of looking and saying, "Oh well, we're not worthy because these other people are coming in." Now you got Haitian. When I was in New York, you had Haitian people that were riders. They were with us. They rocked. And so was the brother that had, I believe, had called in earlier. He's from Haiti. That's what I'm used to from the Haitian massive. I'm seeing it. Also, I know that South, true South Africans, they are riders also. But I mean, and then you got, depending on what country you're speaking about. But one thing I always tell people is that our ancestors and people that South Africa had nothing to do with that. Matter of fact, I was involved personally in getting the a lot of the companies, and actually went to Congress when I was younger. I was a kid, but I went with a group, and we were trying to get Congress and the US to divest from South Africa during apartheid. So I'm not new and young into this game of doing politics. This is very serious business. So when I get kind of like, when somebody comes over and says, hey, why don't we do this and why don't we do that? Just like the sister said, why are we still having these individual conversations because somebody just can't quite get it like that? I mean, I came from Pan Africanism, but then when I'm hearing from other people and I'm going around and seeing in different cities that it's just not a mutual thing. Love is a two-way street, and you're going to lose that on a lonely highway for real, because you can't sit there and be all lovey-dovey to somebody or group, and they don't give that same thing back unless you're sitting up there tipping them off when you go visit them. I mean, that's not love. That's sitting up there just get tipping somebody off. So, yeah, that's the main thing. We got to be very mindful that we in it, and we've been. I mean, I think we were. People don't understand how strong we are as a people. So, anybody that's rocking for reparations, then continue to do so. I'm definitely doing the political education thing. We're doing that every first and third Sunday. Be starting coming up in March again, instead of on Wednesdays. But definitely want to thank you again for allowing me to step foot back on your stage. And I'll land.
Well, thank you very much, Ross from the DMV. I appreciate everything you said. You know what I'm saying? Everything. Um, Let me see. FB Intelligentsia, you can unmute yourself and speak.
All right. Yeah, man, I hate to reiterate myself, but I think we have to accept that it's cultural with these people. And I'm not trying to disparage every African, every Caribbean in the diaspora, but it's cultural. They have a culture of where, the ends meet any means. You're allowed to do whatever you want for the most part to get what they what they consider success. And it's a different culture than us. Because of our situation, because of our history, I think a lot of us have been longing for an Africa, some sort of camaraderie that doesn't really exist, and we've got to just accept it. And like we can't keep debating these, worrying about stragglers, whether they be whole entire nations that have a majority population. These people can take care of themselves. It's not our responsibility to worry about them. We have a situation to take care of here. I think this should be the last generation of, as we call them, tethers, that we allow. We need to be teaching our kids to unify with each other and ask the same questions everybody else asks. Because I think a lot of us don't accept that like we're just starting to move the way other groups of people move. And I'm not going to say it's a very new thing to us. Like we've always accepted all black people for being black, but these other people ask questions, and they have the advantage of perhaps having their own language or dialect that they're able to sort of keep things secret from us. While living in our neighborhoods, of course, and telling their kids and not wanting to integrate and spend money with us. So we've got to just like tighten it up and move forward from here. There should be no more conversations. And I mean, of course, I know we're going to talk about there's going to be spaces, individuals are going to talk about it, but I think as a collective, we have to realize like from here on, we have a plan. Let's try to work our plan ourselves because we're always reaching out for other people who like clearly you could just numerically, they are the majority where they're at. If they wanted to do something, they would have already done it decades ago. And they're not going to because they're colonized mentally. And that's something we can't fix. So I'm gonna land the plane there and appreciate the space.
Yeah, thank you for giving your thing. Thank you. Now, some people say and this is something that I do because I do make I make this content and I want my content to be something that people can learn from because I take this content and I put it on my YouTube channel. And when my little sister watches my content, I want her to be able to fully understand, even if I know, yeah, I'm not gonna get through to this dude. Because to be honest, there's only so many ways you can explain something very simple. I'm explaining they don't like us. They are not going to team up with us. There's nothing we can do. I don't understand how he didn't understand that. He just could not grasp that concept. And there was no way for me to explain that. But I broke down why, not because I thought that I could convince him or because I could sway him, is because when other people see that, when my sister, who's 13 years old, when she sees why, she can understand that. You know what I'm saying? Instead of saying, no, that's it, let me kick you out of here. Now you have a full grasp as to, you know what, this is why it won't work. Why it won't work. Hold on.
Afro Elite, what happened,
Yeah,
brother?
yeah, why it won't work. I'm sorry. Why it won't work is because they have they're colonized mentally, and that's the ultimate thing. They're colonized mentally, and we're not, for the most part. Not every single last one of them. Shout out to the ones who are on code. Shout out the ones who are doing the work. They've never all been colonized mentally, but collectively they have, and we've always reached out to them collectively. And our work, our effort and progress has never been reciprocated. So there's nothing that we could do if we wanted to. But my question is, why should we want to? We don't have to. We are enough as is. Everything we've done, from fighting in wars, winning wars, okay, from building the wealthiest country in the entire world, every single thing that we've done, everything that we've accomplished, fighting for civil rights, getting civil rights, not just for us, for other people. Everything we've done by ourselves with no help from anybody else. So why should we be asking for help now? See, we have this thing where too many black people, and we have this thing where we feel like, oh, well, we just can't do it by ourselves. We just need the help. We need some help. We can't do it by ourselves. We can, and we always have done it by ourselves. Okay, yeah. So, and we always have. Now, something else I wanted to say, too. Earlier today, I was talking to this older gentleman, and he asked me, because he knows about my content. Um, he asked me what I've been talking about, and I told him I made a space, um, about reparations, and I was talking to him about reparations. And he says, and this is like our brother Jason Black says, you got to watch out for these old niggas because he says, "Oh, because I brought up the reparations, the Marshall Plan, and everything." He's like, "Oh yeah, I agree with the Marshall Plan, but I just don't see how cash payments. I just don't think cash payments is a good thing. I mean, what are they gonna spend it on? How are we gonna make sure you're gonna use it properly?" And I brought up the fact that, hey, nobody asked those questions when the Japanese people got their reparations, and they didn't go through half. They didn't even go through a quarter of the things that we've gone through. And nobody asked, well, what are you going to spend the money on? How are you going to use it? When they gave American citizens stimulus checks, nobody was saying, well, we got to make sure we know what you're going to spend the money on. We got to make, a lot of them blew their money. Nobody cares about what you do with the money that's owed to you. The money's owed to you. Damn it. It don't matter what you do with it. If we want to, if you guys seen the Dark Knight movie, if you want to pile all the money up, cash it all out, pile it up, and burn it to the ground, that's your money to do that with. It doesn't matter. Um, he brought up the fact that, well, other minorities, and that's that old nigga talk, other minorities have been aggrieved too. We've all faced some pain in some type of way. So he doesn't see the right that foundational black Americans should advocate for reparations above anybody else. He doesn't see how we have any right to a reparations claim above anybody else. And I said, I it doesn't matter what any of these people have been through. I mean, I don't want people to suffer. I really don't. But to be honest, they didn't. That nobody made them be here. Nobody. They voluntarily came here. Every single last one of them. I don't care if they were paid scraps. I don't care if they were paid anything at all. They came here voluntarily. Nobody bought them here. Every other group except foundational Black Americans came here voluntarily. Some of us were here, and then some of us got brought here involuntarily. But we're the only group of people who did not volunteer to come here. So you can't volunteer to come to a land and say, I deserve reparations because I was mistreated. You should have been mistreated in your own home then. Then you could give reparations. Your reparations is the fact that this was a country that was built and you came here. And to whatever extent they suffered, they benefited more. Otherwise, they wouldn't have brought their ass over here. So no, they don't get reparations. And then I brought up the fact that you don't see, and you're talking about the grievances that they've gone through. Yeah, I guess they've gone through some suffering to an extent, but in comparison to the foundational Black Americans, all their grievances is just a mild inconvenience. I asked him, you can't name a damn Japanese version of the Central Park Five. They don't have Japanese versions of the Central Park Five. You don't have, they talk about the LGBT being discriminated. I don't see transgenders being strangled in the streets by police officers, being shot to death, kids being killed like Tamir Rice. You don't see stuff like that. They don't barge in LGBT households and shoot them down like Breonna Taylor did. Okay? There was no convict leasing that the damn Hispanics had to go through. The Asians got paid to build the damn railroads. We didn't. Okay? So what are you talking about? They don't their grievance is anywhere near comparable to ours. We're the only ones who have a legitimate grievance with America. Everybody else, y'all can either accept the fact that they happened to y'all or y'all can go home because nobody asked y'all to be here. Nobody asked them to be here. We're the only exception to that rule. We're the only ones who deserve reparations. This is why we have to push for it. And we don't need naysayers coming over here, especially the ones who don't qualify. They wouldn't get it. They wouldn't get it regardless. If everybody was like, you know what, we're getting checks tomorrow, everybody's going to get some reparations payments. They can't trace their lineage back to the American plantations. They can't trace their lineage back to American slavery. So they wouldn't get it regardless. So they do not have a right to speak on it, and we have to shut that down. Okay, and this has to be a teaching thing. We have to teach them because I know a lot of them. Um, a lot of the younger foundational Black Americans, they need to hear, excuse me, they need to hear foundational Black Americans from all walks of life being on code. They need to hear the local ones. They need to hear the ones with the bigger profiles. They need to hear the ones from the smaller profiles. They need to hear all walks of life. They need to see the fact that this is the Black agenda is starting to come to fruition. They need to see that Black people are starting to be on code. When my sister, and this is why I break stuff down. A lot of times I really don't have the patience to be going back and forth. But my sister is 13 years old and she watches my content very often. And a lot of times she asks me, okay, well, why do you make that point? Why do you say this? Why do you say this? And so that's when I started making my content and going back and forth so I can teach people who are watching this, okay? Not because, and I'm not here to change anybody's mind. It's not my job or responsibility to change anybody's mind. I speak the truth, and if you accept it, then that's great. If you don't, then oh well. That's what it is. But I was trying, and you guys saw how patient I was with this dude. I was trying. I'm like, they don't get it. They don't get it. The space isn't necessarily even there to talk about Pan-Africanism anyway. He wants to critique Tariq for not keeping on the cape for Pan-Africanism. That makes me think that you're probably like an anchor baby or something at the least. Because foundational Black Americans, we get it. We understand. Because we've all been treated that way. Foundation Black Americans, we all pretty much have a story of Africans or Caribbeans being snobby with us. We've all had a story of them acting like that they're better than us, they're smarter than us, that they don't want to associate with us. We know that. We've lived that and experienced that. So as soon as the point was made, hey, we should stop rocking with them because they don't rock with us, we jumped on that. We was like, all right then, okay, cool. Because we've always known that, and we've tried. We've done everything we could do. They're like I said, they're like the villain who'd rather die than take our hand. Okay, so let them die.
But
And
see,
that's a mean
Afro
thing to
Elite,
say, but that's the truth.
like what you said right there. You have a 13-year-old sister. You love her dearly. You want her to understand. And I applaud you and her, really, because she asks questions and she wants to know from her big brother. And I can relate to that. I love that dynamic. That's family. That's what we're talking about, with the Freedmen and basically we you have to be able, as an educator, you have to be able to tell somebody something several different ways until they get it. And I applaud both of you for that. I mean, even if with your sister that's 13, if she's in class and somebody, she tries to be someone's friend and they just keep rejecting her, they keep being nasty to her, then what do your parents tell her to do? What do you tell her to do as her big brother? You tell her leave that person alone. And that's probably what she does, and she's a lot happier. She avoids them, and they could, at one point in time, if the person comes and they're trying to, hey, I'm sorry, I was immature that last year in school, or whatever the case, and they come back and they can make amends, or they could just never speak till they graduate and go on with their lives. But you don't sit there and keep accepting abuse from people that are abusive to you. And that's just something powerful to tell your little sister anyway, because it's going to serve her well when, as she's, a growing young lady. You don't sit there and accept abuse from people while you constantly come to them and trying to, build a relationship with them. Nobody, no wise person would do that, right? So that's the whole thing we're talking about in dealing with relationships. But I'll tell you another thing that you said that you don't even realize you said it, but maybe you do. We were not even talking about African relationships at that point in time, right? We weren't talking about that. That person directed it to that talking point, and you sniffed that out. And I noticed that about you. You find out people that are gaslighting very quickly. So even with that, that's why I said I'm following you, because I want to find and just see and be able to assist in different kinds of ways, people like yourself that are able to, just quickly sniff out somebody's foolishness, right? So I mean, I'm giving you a bunch of flowers in your podcast. So just wanted you to know. I'll land.
Well, thank you very much. I'm following you too, sister, because I've loved everything you've said so far. Everything you said has been on point, on code. Um, like I said, it got a little bit derailed because they were talking about right here. Okay, they were talking about Tariq and Jason Black, and that's the thing. Yvette, and I knew some of them would come up there and talk about Tariq negatively and Jason Black and Professor Black Truth negatively, and I'm like, okay, they called, and this has happened especially during the time when ADOS and FBA were really getting into it. I was all like, oh well, you just known Tariq longer, so that's why you're on his side. I'm like, well, no, I'm on his side because I see his point. I don't see your point. I don't see why you're upset. I didn't understand, and I saw her video. I didn't see clips. watched the whole video. She had like a 2 hour video. In the first 30, 40 minutes, she was just going in on Dr. Claude Anderson for no reason. It was such an unprovoked attack. She's already gone in on Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, and we kind of let that slide because we were trying to get on the reparations thing. We kind of let that slide. And then she just started going in on, I mean, in that whole 2 hours, she went in on Dr. Claude Anderson, she went on Tariq, she went on Jason Black, she went on Professor Black Truth. She went in on all of them. every single last one of them, and it was completely unprovoked because at that time, and I know Jason made a broadcast about that later, but at that time, Jason never said anything negatively about them. And I'm looking at the dates of the videos. At that time, Tariq didn't say nothing negative about Yvette at that time either. So she just went in and it's all about me. It's all about me. And if anybody says it's not all about me, I'm gonna bash them and I'm gonna say I'm your mother and I'm taking the credit for it. So they were like, okay, well, you have a problem with Tariq, you have a problem with Jason. Okay, what's your problem? And as you saw, there was about 100 people witnessing. As you saw, I gave him chances after chances. He said, we got to change the laws. And Tariq don't change the laws. I'm like, okay, well, what laws do you want to change? He couldn't give a law he wanted to change. I gave him time and time again. What laws do you want to change? If you're saying Tariq should change, he's not a lawyer but or a politician, but you're saying Tariq should advocate for changing laws. What laws should we change? He couldn't give a single law that he wants changed. He just
Oh, the
gave up the
only
fact
one,
that his job is discriminating against him.
brother, the only one he came up with was the Civil Rights Act of 1866. And that's what we were standing on the Supreme Court steps for. You spotted out somebody that's an ear hustler, right? They listen to see what's being said in these spaces. Then they come back and because I mean I remember that dude. He was a troll for us. He was like, yeah, everybody should get it based on skin color. Why are you guys not saying that? Now you tell me, Gullah Geechee people are riders. They not part. They not part of. That's one of the things they were known to be doing chattel slavery. These people were no joke. So why would somebody that's Gullah Geechee advocate for something like that? You just spotted it. I mean, and you're a young brother, and I commend you for that. But yeah, that dude, man, he was just I just let him talk for a while so he could just give me enough to just he can give you guys enough. And you spotted it. You started asking the right questions. And that's what we need to do in these Twitter spaces and just start gating up. Don't let the people get kind of information like that. But yeah, I was on that call where it was a 2 day she Yvette was excoriating Dr. Claude Anderson, who's an elder. This man is like in his 80s, right? And she's excoriating this man who was basically started a fishery out in the eastern shore of Maryland. And he was trying to farm raise tilapia because he did the research and we eat more fish than any other group. He just didn't have the transportation and the retailer set up in order to make that happen in a proper way. So she went in and started yelling and going crazy. And I called in and I basically, I checked her on that and said, look, wait a minute. You don't why couldn't you have called this man or reached out for him and had a conversation? Or what? Check this out. If he owed money to Harbor Bank or whatever the case was on a business deal, because everybody does business, does not necessarily succeed on the first or second. Some of the business work, some of them don't, right? I have a business, Steel Pedal Defense. It's a firearms company. Basically, I mean, everybody's got businesses that succeed or don't because of wealth level, right? So why not take her popular at that time podcast and raise money for this gentleman? You got brother Logic Supreme from United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen, who is a spokesperson on here. Those brothers actually, what they did, they were trying to do fundraisers for certain people that needed assistance. They would take their podcast and actually do a platform and say, hey, this person is running for office and any money that y'all give is going to this person's campaign. I think they did that 2 or 3 times. He could speak more on it, but that's what you're supposed to do in a position of power and people that have a voice, not sit there and excoriate an elder or any elders that have come here long before you and me and sit here and just tear them apart because they tried a business venture to help our people and it didn't work out. You're supposed to call them and say, what can I do for you, sir or ma'am, in order to ease the burden that you may have for your company? That's what you're supposed to do and handle it. And it didn't happen in that way. And I was like, no, you don't do that to him. He's an elder. And that's just something that's terrible how you're doing this, man. Terrible. And anybody got the recording, they could go back and see. But I wanted to just verify that you did, you did peep that, and that was very wrong and very vile of her. And I think a lot of this foolishness we kind of overlooked. I mean, we saw it, but it was like, that's not how you treat an elder. Anybody that came up in the reparation space, it was like, oh no, you can't do reparations. We got to do reparations. Now, what are they doing for reparations? Right? They're not doing anything. I mean, it's a Patreon page or something like that where you got to pay to hear somebody speak. Nah, that's not even cool. I got a little page thing up, but I'm trying to teach self defense and purchase some firearms that the women and the little kids, let's say little kids, but the kids that are teenagers can actually handle firearms. So if somebody asks me what am I doing, hey, I'm registered with my state. I'm licensed and insured. This is what I'm doing with my fundraiser. So if people want to donate, they can. But if they don't, then that's fine too, because we're going to get things going. But to raise the money and to not give back to the people that are out here doing the day-to-day work is just hoarding whatever's being done. And that's ridiculous. And that's what she's done. So I'm just basically verifying that for you. I told you I'm here to basically, there's my sister Kelly Pryor. But yeah, I'm verifying that, brother. That right there, all the money goes in and it never comes back. Then you gotta raise both eyebrows. And you gotta also check your pockets. So that's all I wanted to say in our land.
Well, thank you, sister. Thank you very much. Um, to touch on what first off, I think that teaching black people as far as how to use weapons and self defense, that's very important, and that we need that now more than ever. Uh, just one last about the Yvette thing. When I saw, now I never was subscribed to Yvette's channel, but every so often I would pop in to see like what Yvette and Tone, like their videos would come up on my recommendations thing. So I would check it out. I remember because everybody was on, oh, Yvette went off on Dr. Claude, Yvette, not Dr. Anderson. Yvette went off on Dr. Anderson. So I looked to see, okay, and as I watched it, I had to, all the way up until she stopped talking about Yvette and started talking about Tariq and Jason. I had to literally go back to the episode of The Breakfast Club to watch Dr. Anderson speak because I was just so appalled that she went in on him like that. I'm all like, the whole time, I'm like, I watched it. I'm like, what did he say that warranted you going off on him like that? After she went off, I'm like, what the hell did he say? I don't think he mentioned her name one single time. So I watched the whole episode again. And the whole time I'm watching the Breakfast Club episode the second time, I'm thinking to myself, what did this man say to get her that mad? Like she is pressed as hell, and he never mentioned her name or ADOS. Nino Black, you can speak.
Can I be heard?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. I guess my question is, I wanted to ask this before the previous space was closed, is how do we move forward as far like now that we know everything has been brought to light regarding the ADOS organization, everything from their, LGBT Democrat agenda to just the for lack of a better term, the stupidity of the term ADOS. When I say stupidity, I'm talking about just for the fact that anybody who is non-black but has a descendant, has an ancestor that was enslaved in America, that can apply to anybody. So ADOS is not a black specific term. So now that we know everything regarding, how the term is not specific to black people, or how it can be finessed to not be specific to black people. How we know how Yvette and Tone have been telling people to vote Democrat down ballot, even if we're not getting any tangibles in return. Just all the receipts that has been pulled about this whole organization, right? How do we move forward as far as associating ourselves with people that still try to be friendly with them in, or still associate themselves with that group? Because I know I kind of got a no bullshit, you know, agenda. Whereas as soon as I start noticing somebody moving funny, the way I deal with that is I ask them about it directly, and then if they start giving me a bullshit answer or start deflecting off top, you looking real funny in my book, and I can't fuck with you no more. And I have drawn some line in the sands throughout the B1 community with people like that, who I'm not gonna say no names, but people who I've noticed had some questionable ties with other people, and or was doing some funny things. And after I asked them about it, and they pretty much didn't answer it, I cut them people off. I called them people out and cut them off. So I guess my question to you, Jay, is how do you move forward from this, or how will you move forward? Again, with anybody who associates themselves with the ADOS organization, from this point forward, knowing everything that we know about them.
Okay, well, in my first off, I like the thing. I like what you said. You gotta. I message people directly. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. I feel like at this point it's just so obvious that you can't deny it. You can't go around it. So if I was to ask someone, because I have people who've like added me like a friend request or whatever, or wanted to speak to me, and I see they got FBA and ADOS in their bio. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe you're thinking they're the same thing. Maybe you're still a little bit confused because sometimes we talk on the same issues. So maybe you think this is the same thing. That's why I say, first off, let's really be vocal and make a clear distinction as to what is wrong with ADOS. And then after that, in my opinion, anybody who follows um ADOS, anybody who's on that wave, you're just a Democratic shield. You're just working for the Democrats. That's really what it is. Because if ADOS was telling you to vote blue down ballot as if that was going to do anything, and look, then now the blue won down ballot, up ballot, all around the ballot. Blue won everything, and how beneficial was that?
Not
She was
beneficial at
talking
all.
about vote blue down ballot. So the way I'm seeing it now, because the ones who are just claiming ADOS, no, you can't rock with them. They're agents. The way I see it, they're domestic agents. The ones who might be on the fence about like ADOS, FBA, I let them know. And I've been in other chat rooms and group chats and stuff. And I'm like, hey, I understand that y'all feel like they should be the same, and maybe you like some of the points Yvette and Tone made, but you got to let them go. You got to drop them because they're not being helpful. They're actually being very harmful because they're impersonating leaders, and we're not supposed to have any leaders. So if they still rock with them, and you gotta realize you gotta watch the people you associate with and the people that they associate with. So that's why I gotta be careful with who I associate with. So hey, if you rock with Yvette and you rock with Tone, then hey, I can't really rock with you because you're giving me very agent-like energy.
And
And
I'm
that's the
glad
thing
that you
with the Black Panthers.
Which
They let agents in. We can't let that in. We
and I'm
can't let
glad.
them in.
I was gonna say I'm glad that you said that, because again, I'm not gonna say no names, but anybody that followed me on Twitter on my last few accounts, y'all have seen me on the timeline calling people out. And a lot of people was looking at me crazy, like, well, so and so they solid, so and so they solid, until Tariq himself came out and started calling out them same people. Again, I'm not gonna say no names, but I know it's some people who, one person in particular, who is very vocal in the B1 space or whatever. They be in TBA's room, they be in Tariq's or chats and all that other shit. But then when I see him on Twitter, I'm like, man, you over here keying it up with some real suspect people, like people who we pretty much established as persona non grata. And it's not based, again, it's not based on, oh, just personal dislikes of this person. Oh, I don't like the way this person talks, or I don't like the way this person dresses. No, it's literally they have ideologies that are that are detrimental to our agenda, which is black empowerment and combating white supremacy. So it's like, so when I confront this person, like, hey man, like, why are you associating with these people? You know, and you call yourself, you know, listening to Jason Black and Tariq and them. Like, why are you still dealing with these people? Oh, I don't like to get in the middle of that. You know, that's they beefs or whatever, whatever, whatever. And it's like, see, shit like that is like real agent like to me, like you said, because again, this is not about me liking a person or disliking a person, you know, on a personal level. No, it's about they uphold an ideology that is a direct detriment to what the goal that we're trying to achieve. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like your daddy owns your Coca-Cola. You know what I'm saying? But you friends with doggone the Pepsi people. And then you like, oh, I don't like to get in the middle of that. But do you not realize that by you buying all these Pepsi products and shit, you're literally taking money out of your own family's mouth by doing that? It's like you can't really ride the fence on certain things. I know that wasn't the best example, but I don't know. That's kind of where I see a lot of people.
Side, to a degree. Let me because there's some everybody got their hand up, so let me let Walid, I believe, is that how you pronounce your name? You can unmute yourself.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. So what's the plan, lad? What's the plan? I don't know what to do after that.
Okay, let me ask you, where are your people from? Because I hear a very strong accent.
Yeah, it's from California, man.
$5
Okay,
FBA.
your lying and trolling is gonna
Yeah, of
get you
course.
kicked out. Where are your people from?
Yeah, FBA, California, man.
You're FBA California.
Yeah.
You sound like you're damn a Russian bot. Where are your people
No,
from?
no,
That's
no.
my last time asking.
No, I'm not Russian, no.
Then why do you have that accent?
Yeah, I have that accent, yeah. Yeah, in fact, I'm living outside of California now.
Okay. Let me see. Who else had their hand up? Who had their hand up first? Ross from the DC. I think you have your hand up first? Yeah.
No,
Ross
I
from
had my
DC.
hand up. FB Intelligent. He had his hand up first.
Oh, okay. Oh, FB Intelligent. Okay.
Yeah, I keep popping in and out. I've never been closely aligned with ADOS. I've listened to Yvette Carnell and what is it, Antonio Moore, like briefly. I've always been more so on like the new voices of Black media, like Tariq, Jason Black, Professor Black Truth. I think the biggest problem with ADOS, though, from just like my perspective, even early on, was that they only seem to respect politics. It seems like they want to be a political outfit, and they don't really respect finance, black economics. Well, unless it's Byron Allen, and then it all seemed very shilly, all fishy, all like in a play for some sort of political clout that they'd be able to bargain with the Democrats for. Now I don't know because I've never been a part of a chapter, and I really never really listened to them because it put me off from the get go. But I think that's the biggest problem. FBA is a lineage. There are no leaders. They're supposed to be. We need to be codified. We could all move individually throughout this world once you're codified and do things that are only going to be beneficial to Black empowerment. I mean, you could just see the way Yvette Carnell's acting now. I see her blocking a bunch of people. I've heard just horrific things about her, and also too that disrespect of Frances Cress Welsing, like that put me off super early too. So it was just like this. I just never saw the appeal to that movement. Like I don't. Politics is great, but as PBT Jason Black often say, politics are just a shadow cast by business. It's the private sector that makes those people move. So to see the way they would go about this, like I guess being like a chapter of the Democratic Party just made no sense to me. Voting down ballot, we don't have anybody down ballot advocating for us. We need to produce our own. It's like it's so obvious. We need to produce our own candidates. We need to put money in the game. We need skin in the game. The Democrats aren't going to save us. So that's why I think ADOS has always been an inferior movement. I know there's people who claim both. Even though you could only you could claim ADOS FBA as a lineage, so you either are or you're not. But like I'm not in the middle of some. I just don't even mess with the other side really. I know some of them follow me and my little account, but that they're a mess. And I think it's time for people who are sort of on the fence to let it go. We can do it this way. It'll be a mixture of politics, business, but like we're not even at the political stage yet because we haven't put money into it. That's when you'll know it's time to get political.
Exactly. And Dr. Claude Anderson broke this down very well. And Yvette was talking about how old Powernomics is and how old the book. It doesn't matter. The book still works perfectly fine today. You can't do anything without the economy. You got to get the economy straight first. Then you move to politics. They're trying to skip. They're trying to skip and move to the next step. Okay, we're going to go to the political thing. We're going to try to wiggle our way through some type of political strategy, and we're going to ignore politics. I mean, we're going to ignore the economy. No, the economy comes first. Nothing can get done without the economy being together. This is why Asians are so influential, not because they have large political numbers, not because they have a large political representation. It's because it doesn't matter if it's a white person or Asian person or whoever. They have the economy to influence any of the politicians to do their bidding. Um, Kelly, you can unmute yourself, sister.
Okay, sorry, my spaces is messing up, so I can't hit any icons to raise my hand or anything. So I'm surprised that I'm even a speaker. What I wanted to say too regarding ADOS or the hashtag movement is what I want people to know, whoever I guess is being recorded. A lot of the hard hitters that you guys see now that are not a part of that hashtag are the ones that were smart enough and saw the writing on the wall and got away. For example, the group in California that is working on AB 3121 with everything you see happening there. So my point is that the people that I see on social media that are trolling on behalf of Yvette and everybody's doing this mass blocking, there are a few knuckleheads that just can't see the writing on the wall, but a good majority of them are new people that don't know. They're just going by what Yvette has told them. And the way Yvette has moved, because I was a part of it at one point, was she never wanted anybody to have any, not that she didn't want them to, but when people were pushing her, when her followers were pushing her and saying, hey, why don't we get like something formal, you know, some kind of a group, some kind of a home base so that we know who's in DC, who's in California, who's here, who's there. She didn't want any part of that. She said, you guys go do whatever it is you want to do. I want to just provide the political education, meaning I just want to sit behind the laptop and do whatever commentary or breakdowns of whatever she wants to say politically on YouTube. So the people did that. So my point of saying that is the things that she's spewing now that you guys might see her having a tantrum right now is due in part because she's working behind the 8 ball. Now she's trying to do the things that people were asking her to do before. And I think it's a little bit too late at this point because that hashtag is mud on the hill. Washington, D.C. doesn't want to see anything that has that hashtag on it. And I know she knows that, but she'd rather be in her little echo chamber now that she's taken mainly off of YouTube to Patreon for the few people that will still listen. And I'll end it there.
Now she was talking about Tariq making all the money he was making and how he's pimping the community because he's making a bunch of money, but yet she. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. We
Yes.
can
Okay,
hear
okay.
you.
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, she was talking about Tariq pimping the community because he's making a bunch of money, but yet Tariq at his YouTube channel was free. She's advocating what she's doing on Patreon. You got to pay to listen to her. Now,
And Mr. Afro, I wanted to say this too. Anybody that was trying to, and I'll be quick, anyone that was trying to say, sell a t-shirt that had ADOS or anything of that nature, because if anybody knows, if you're doing any kind of advocacy work, it costs money to make copies at Kinko's. It costs money for your gas. It costs money for that. So those are the things that our organizations at that time were just trying to make some of that money back. And for example, just to give you an example of what I mean by that, when the governor first in my area first put out a moratorium for people to be able to stay in their houses without being evicted, he granted like 5 more months until like December the 31st of 2021. If anybody, I guess in anybody's state, your governor may have done that. I don't know. But I knew that in our Black areas, I knew the people did not know that. So our organization at that time, we made as many copies of that moratorium that we could, and we knocked on everybody's apartment building or house that we thought might have not known what was going on. And when we ran out of copies, we had some brothers and sisters in the neighborhood that were running to Kinko's and doing it from their phone. We were following it. So my point is that those are the kind of things that a t-shirt example. And those are some of the things before I got caught in the net. I started seeing that the movers and the shakers, and this speaks to Nino Black, because he's like, how do I tell, who's who when people are fraternizing? The cream rises to the top. And I know you know that too, Nino. You can see who's moving a certain way. Like you said, you already answered your own question, actually. The people that are moving, you see the ones that are actually moving. They don't brag about it. They don't have to tweet about, hey, look, this is what I did today. Or this is what I'm blocking. I'm doing a mass blocking because Yvette said, or whatever. These are the people that do it, and you see it happen and you're like, wow, they don't have to tell you. The cream always rises to the top. I saw that with certain people that didn't even know that I was even looking out or even looking like that. They just created and commanded an attention to them because of the work that they were putting in. And I knew I wanted to be like that. And I knew that I needed to surround myself and emulate the people that were actually affecting change for our people as a group. And that's who I surround myself with. And I'll land. I'm done.
Thank you. I would like to touch on that, but I got a lot of other people who haven't gotten a chance to speak. Let me just briefly say this. When it comes to people talking about, well, Tariq has too much money, I've literally seen Tariq give um money just randomly to black people when they needed help. I've seen Tariq shout out so many black owned businesses. I can't count how many businesses Tariq has shouted out. Okay. When people needed to be bailed out during because they were protesting during 2020, Tariq and Jason were bailing them out. I haven't seen anybody else, any of these celebrities, anybody else, any of these other activists putting forth the work that I've seen them do. So as far as I'm concerned, they can be filthy rich. I don't have a problem with that. Logic, you can unmute yourself, bro. Logic, can you hear us? Okay, well, if Logic, I don't know what's going on with him.
Nah, I'm good. You went out for a minute. Is it on me?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, peace to the host,
No,
peace
but
to
can you
Sister
guys hear
Rob.
me? Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Yes.
You had just went out for a second.
All right,
Yeah, we hear
okay.
you clear.
All right, peace
All
to
right, buddy.
everyone in this space. Peace to Sister Rob, Sister Kelly, everybody that's in here. And I was listening for a minute, not the whole demonstration. I was want to make a few comments on a few things. And so, one, I like a lot of things, like the problematic component of toxic people in this space is a very serious problem, and we have to understand that. But it raises a concern for me. So I want to get these things out before somebody responds to it. But I'm really concerned about, because we have toxic people in our midst. Is it wise to throw out the concept of leadership? This is something that I've heard for a while, but I've never researched a successful movement or organization or anything like that that didn't have any leadership component embedded in it. And so, how do we be successful as an organized group, or is organization also not important anymore? Like, how do we, because or do we throw the whole concept of organization and leadership out the way because of a few terrible people, or do we just cultivate good leaders and focus on building good leadership? That's one. And then two, I'm with you on the importance of getting the economy where it needs to be. But what I heard that was concerning was, in government period, not only the American government, there is no way to address the economy outside of political action. everything that happens at Congress that has special relationship to United States Treasury that directs the budget and the Federal Reserves is and creates policies that create or take away jobs is all of a political nature. What the president does is politics. What people in the grassroots communities do to advocate for labor laws or anything of that nature, wages and concerns, right? All of that is politics. Politics is simply the science of who gets what, when, where, and how. And so, how does one be concerned about the American economy and don't have a political strategy to impact the economy in a way that benefits them? And so those were the two big concerns I had out of what I heard from the brief time that I've been in here. And so one, because there's terrible people, do we throw away organization and leadership? And two, how do we fix the economy outside of politics? Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, Jay, really, really quickly, I was going to ask you this, and then I'm gonna let you answer it. Can you address to Logic who the leader of the LGBT community is? Because that seems like
I was about to ask that.
okay. All right, that's what I want to ask.
Okay, well, thank you. Because the thing is that white supremacy doesn't have a leader. Now, I mean, of course, you need organization. You need people who um can speak articulately and give the knowledge to the people. But as far as a leader, as far as I'm the captain of the ship, white supremacy has never operated like that. You have people who reinforce the agenda. You have your Donald Trumps and your Joe Bidens, and you have your Richard Spencers and all of them, but they're not the leaders. They're not considered the leaders, okay? Because leaders can be taken out, which is why we don't not to say we don't have good people who do have um black people's interests at heart. Not to say we don't have that, but to say if we have a leader, if we have a figurehead, that can be sabotaged, that can be dismantled. If we have an agenda, if we have a code, that can't be sabotaged, that can't be dismantled. The code will be more effective. The agenda would be more effective if it's in everyone. If you say we need, I do feel like we need a leader, but I feel like we should all be the leaders. We should all be the leaders to some extent, because the like Nino said, the LGBT community doesn't have a leader. The Asian, no other community really has a leader. We're the
Can
only
can can
people
I can I
who
respond to that real quick?
hold on. We're the only people who advocate for the leader, for leadership. Now, when you say we need organization, yeah, we do need people to be all like, okay, the reason why we give Tariq the respect that he's done is because Tariq has been in the game for a while, and Tariq has earned credibility among the people. So there are people that have earned respect and credibility that we naturally will listen to because they're trustworthy people. So you do have people like that, but Tariq is not the leader. Even himself, he said he's not the leader. Um, to address your other point, you said something about political, like refresh me briefly about what you said about the economy. What were you saying
Well, I
there?
said, well, with when we talk, I said that I agree with your position on the importance of the American economy. But
Mhm.
you also mentioned something about politics, and this is not to defend those wicked, silly individuals, of Yvette and Tone. I'm just responding to what I heard. And you said, like, instead of fixing the economy, politics was elevated. But in the government, how with the Congress that controls the budget and controls the Treasury and directs the Fed and the president and his executive power and authority and all of the state government and all of the individuals who advocate and do grassroots political work for labor laws and things of that nature, how do you fix the economy without politics?
Um, you fix okay. The thing is that it's kind of backwards. That's the thing. Because
What
if
do
you
you
look
mean?
at if you look at the Asian community is so influential because of the fact that they use their economy to influence the politics. Okay, the economy comes first. If we
Can you
all
explain that to
aggregate,
me?
if we hold on, okay, I will. Because I recently just watched Jason Black's film 7 a.m. So I got a very fresh memory on this. If we aggregate our funds together, if we work as a community, just like the Asians, just like the Jews, just like the Hispanics, if we work like that and we aggregate our funds and we have an economy, we can sustain and we can buy and make our own politicians. We can start small. We can start on the local level and that can grow. That's the same way everybody else does it. We're afraid, we're trying to skip a step. We need to do, everybody else is doing the same thing, and we're the only people who are saying that that's not going to work. It's working for every other group of people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
As far as
supremely
and I know
agree
I'm
with
not saying we should ignore
the local thing.
politics. I'm saying that it's ineffective for us to say we got to go for politics, politics, politics if we're not getting the economy together. Because politics won't fix the economy will fix the politics. It works that way. It doesn't work the other way.
I just don't understand how that relationship is embedded together. And so if your political focus is on fixing the economy, then that will be what the energy is driving towards, and that's will be what your political objective is to fix the economy. The economy doesn't is not like an android that just is doing things. Like, the economy is a byproduct of human activity and political activity. And
Yeah, that's
so
called the economy, brother. Because
I understand that.
what politician is going to advocate for you
No,
without
but it's
any
not. But
economic backing?
politics is not just politicians. Politics is the science of who gets what, when, where, and how, and it involves everybody from every individual citizen to those representatives who represents that political will and ideas. And so, if we are on point and saying that's what we need is our economy to be the priority, then that's what it will be. But
And brother, and somebody who studied political science in my undergrad, right? One thing that
me
we
as
have
well,
all
me as
okay,
well.
so you should understand this because this is something that they teach us in our intro classes is that it takes an economic base in order for you to have any type of political power. Just like Afro Elite was saying with the Asian community, it doesn't have a high population. They don't you get what I'm saying, but yet they have high political power. Why is that? That's due to their economic base. And with their economic base, they therefore can influence political agendas. You can't influence political agendas just by begging. Black people have been doing that for the last, what, 60, 70 years
Well,
now.
I'm not suggesting that we beg, and
Okay, okay. Well, I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to say this, and I'll go back on mute. My thing is this: how successful are you going to be finding a politician to represent you in your interests without being able to fund them economically? That's my question to you, and I'm going on mute.
well, see, that is a great question. I'm glad you asked that. And so, people who don't have money, and this goes back to tie into what the host was talking about when he said that we are oftentimes try to skip steps and do federal politics instead of getting our politics correct in our backyard. And so, what we can do on a local level is where it's one person, one vote. That impact with there's some political solidarity. You don't have to have a dime. You just need to have a vote. But I'm not suggesting that we don't have money. But what we need to do is look at the historical references and say, because when you look at these Asians, and I don't want this to be confused, right? The Asians don't just buy Asian and sell Asian. You understand? The Asians, they have solidarity. They're usually lock and step on their political issues, and they sell to every fucking body that they can. You know what I'm saying? And so we through Booker T. Washington politics, we bought black, right? And we sold black, but we wasn't able to sell white and get that white money. You understand? Which is the majority of the money in America. And so we can't just like say, let's circulate the black dollar out of oppression and political irrelevance. That's not going to work either. But
I
if you got a
disagree. I disagree with that because we
But
have
the
spending power.
but
Black
the
the
spending
black
power is
economy, we have
relative.
spending power. We just don't
The
spend it
spend
amongst each other.
but brother, if you look at the historical references, when that's that Booker T. Washington philosophy, and if you look at the position that W.B. Du Bois had, and if you look at the history of buying black without being able to sell, I don't mind buying black. I buy black all the time, but I need them white dollars. We are only a
Now,
small percentage of the
okay,
time.
okay, because I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Let me ask this. If I was running for like mayor, let's say I was running for mayor against um, Lori Lightfoot. It's not like Lori Lightfoot would be reelected again anyway. But
Well,
let's say
good. I'm from
hypothetically.
Chicago. I'm glad you
But
used her as an example.
yeah, okay. So, um, how would I be able to, if I don't have the funds to back up my campaign, even if someone is on code, if they don't have the funds to support their campaign, they're not going to go anywhere. If they don't have the economy, the people I'm advocating for don't have the funds to back me up, they're not going to go anywhere. All of my wishes and dreams are going to fall on deaf ears. Okay, because
That's true.
we're fighting people with money without money, and we're acting
But politics created that.
money
There
to
was a,
back
a
them up is going to
legislative
help them.
Guys, I
So
don't
let
I
me
don't mean to
ask
cut
you. Let me
anybody off,
ask you, because let
but
me ask you then. How would you
but
put?
what
How would? Hold
equated
on.
money.
Hey, hey, man, dude, nigga, jeez, calm down. Okay, let me ask you. How would putting politics before the economy work? You're gonna unmute yourself. How would it work the other way around? Because it's not working the other way around with anybody else. But um how would it work if we put the economy second to politics?
Well, I'm not suggesting. I'm telling you that they're one and the same thing. I'm not saying that
So
you
they're
should
not
put
one and the
the
same
economy
thing. One
second.
comes before the other one. The horse comes before the cart. They're not the same thing.
Okay, what kind of economic activity do you get inside of a government that doesn't have a political component to it?
hey, really brief. You guys
Okay.
are
Okay, sir. Let me get back to you. Let me see who else requested. Yeah, Rose from the DMV, you requested to speak. I'm gonna let FB Intelligentsia. I'm gonna let you speak. Logic. I tried to answer your question to the best ability I could. I don't understand. Maybe you should watch. I would recommend you watch 7 a.m. You can go to what is it? The Black Channel Films. Black Channel Films. And you can rent 7 a.m. and you can watch that. And I think they'll explain that better than I could. I don't understand how I can explain it any better. The economy comes before the politics. The politics and the economy are not the same thing. Every other group gets that. FB
There's a,
All right,
Intelligentsia.
brother. Peace out. Thank you
Okay,
for having
yo.
me.
thank you. All right.
I want to be
FB
really brief
Intelligentsia, you
again.
can go.
You like the thing is people are confusing internal politic with politics. Like of course there's going to be internal politics that's the code. So it's just like I think the argument was being taken wrong. Not on your end. I think on unfortunately I think on Logic's end. Like of course we're going to have internal politics and that'll lead to getting our economy straight. And from there, now of course run local. I mean the new black media says it all the time. If you could run a local candidate, that's perfect. But like this federal, this broader thing to where like ADOS again is going to be like this large national movement that sort of like clicked in with the Democrat Party. It doesn't make sense for us to engage in those politics without finances. And of course, maybe we could sort of use local politics to help. But again, there's a difference between internal politic and actual, out there political campaigning politics. And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Uh,
I think the easiest way to answer his question would have been to use a real life example of the whole black market of the drug trade. There's a whole economic system of drugs being sold in every impoverished neighborhood in the United States, right? But who's their political representation? You get what I'm saying?
That well,
So it's like
that's an easy answer to that.
no, it's not an easy answer because nobody is in Washington advocating for the dope boy on the corner of 12th Street. Nobody's advocating for the dope boy on the corner of 63rd and Cicero. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a whole economic base going on. There's a whole black market, but there's nobody advocating for them on the political stage. But yet they still have an economic system going on. So that goes to show you that you can achieve economics without the
Well,
politics.
brother, that's a non sequitur. You can't like use a underground black market economic uh, uh, example without using the underground black market
Okay. Well, if he
politics.
can't use that,
No, no, no,
we're
no, no,
using.
no. I'm just saying if he's going
Hold
to
on.
use that example,
Hold on. If he can't use that, and we've used this before, we use the Hispanic community. All of these other communities, the Hispanics, the Asians, the Jews, the Arabs, all of them have more political I would say more political, not representation, because they actually don't, more political power than we do. And we are more represented politically, at least by face. We're represented more politically, but yet they have more political influence than we do. Okay, so how do they do that? How they do that is through the economy. They understand aggregating, working amongst each other, selling and trading, and getting their economy together on a grassroots level first. That influences politicians. Nothing, you can't go the other way around. The horse comes before the cart. If you put the cart before
brother,
the horse, the cart doesn't push the horse.
brother,
The
them
horse
them
pushes the cart.
Chinese. Them Chinese and Korean niggas ain't doing no grassroots politics. They got foreign country.
No,
It's
I didn't say
policy
they're
that
doing
allows them
grassroots
to
politics.
import all that
Okay,
shit into the country.
first off, hold on. I didn't say they were doing grassroots politics. I said they start with grassroots economy. They be supporting each other in their
But the
Chinatowns.
hair industry is not a
Sir,
grassroots economy.
sir, I'm trying to tell you what the problem is. You're asking a question. Now it seems like you're kind of okay, all right. Now it seems like you're kind of I don't know, distracting. Are you wasting time? Because we had like three or
All
four
right, I'm
people.
gone. I don't want to be a distraction. I'm gone, man. Peace. Look.
Okay. I mean, let's everybody ain't gonna make it to the promised land. We've been saying that.
Now, can
Some
I come
people
in?
just
Can I
don't
come
get
in, brother?
it.
Can I come in, brother?
Yeah, say what you gotta say. I was gonna let you speak now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, logic is one of my compatriots, and the brother is very sharp. But I'm gonna pull up some information for you. It's not coming from me. It's coming from Dr. William Darity, who's basically helped write the new bill that's going to replace the HR 40 bill.
Sandy
He
Darity,
has
correct?
his what he has his what we get wrong about closing the racial wealth gap, right? And myth number 3 is he's saying buying and banking black will close the racial wealth gap. I'm going to basically say from my vantage point too, I have friends that I went to high school with that are they are in running for Congress. They have been in the county government for like 19 years or so, and being one of the county representatives for their district. But so that person didn't necessarily come in like that. They got their votes, like Brother Logic had stated. But this is not coming from me. Like I said, myth number 3 is coming from Dr. Darity. And I've heard questions about how do the Chinese do it? Well, the Chinese basically have wealth. If you go and look at the Samuel Du Bois report for, say, I'm gonna say pull LA. It's the color of wealth in LA report, and it was compiled by several economists, not by myself. That they have more wealth than Asian people, and they disaggregate the Asians. So they have Japanese, Chinese, et cetera, and they come in and they have more wealth than white people. So it's not like you're saying you can't compare us. It's like comparing apples with aeronautics, right? You can't compare people that come from chattel slavery and that institution as slaves to people that come in that have more wealth than white people. So that's like apples and I said apples and aeronautics, conversation. But this is a very comprehensive report that also Dr. Darity and his myth. Okay, I'm trying to find the next number for what I'm speaking about. Okay, he speaks about financial literacy is not going to close it. That's myth number 5. Myth number 6, entrepreneurship will close it. I mean, it's not. I'm told you I'm a businesswoman myself, right? But it's not going to close it because I got to get most of my clients are coming from everywhere. But at the same time, in order to teach, and myth number 7, this is the one I was looking for, emulating successful minorities will close the racial wealth gap. So basically, what I'm saying too is if we're going to run, I agree. I live in a very highly, it's a lot of, freedmen neighborhood. I grew up here in this neighborhood. And if I were to run, I would try to definitely get the votes, all that I needed to be able to get in office. So that way I can start sending money to various places. Now, I've met Dr. Claude Anderson several times. He signed 3 of my books, autographed them. I've met Dick Gregory, and Dick Gregory stopped us on the street and basically, told us we weren't doing enough. And that motivated me. I had my nephew with me. He inspired us. We weren't doing enough, and he wanted to see more. I've worked and spoken with Marion Barry, who also inspired me. And he basically had broken down several things dealing with politics. So you can't get somebody like me that's seen the impact of a Marion Barry, who was mayor of Washington, D.C., after the first Mayor Washington. Marion Barry turned the entire DMV around, so that we do have a powerful, economically stable Black class, especially in Prince George's County, which is the wealthiest Black county in the country. But at the same time, he created the entire middle class. One man did that, and that's from back in the 70s. So you can't tell me that we can't do politics when the money comes from the political leaders. That's where I would have to push back also.
Okay,
And
okay.
respectfully, but I suggest
And
it's
I
a free
respect that.
report. Yeah, it's a free report. It's on the Duke University website. It's called What We Get Wrong About Closing the Racial Wealth Gap, compiled by a team of economists, including Dr. Darity, that
Can I
helped
ask you
write
a
the
question?
new report. I'm
Can
sorry?
I ask you a question? And first
Yes,
off,
sir.
let me make myself clear. I never said that politics were important. I'm never tried to downplay how important politics are. I never said that politics can't help the economy. I just stated the economy comes first. Because look, now the question for you is, if there was another person who was like Marion Barry, like I asked him and he avoided the question, if I was running for mayor of Chicago and you had someone else running for mayor of Chicago, and I had a black agenda and they didn't, but the people that I advocate for are living paycheck to paycheck and are barely making ends meet, and the people who they're advocating for, they have enough money to fund their campaign, then they're going to beat me. That's the thing. You
Well,
can't
let me
influence. I'm asking. Hold on. Let me finish the question. How are we going to get another Marion Barry if we don't have our economy together?
can we change it because I don't know Chicago. I've never been in Chicago. Can we change it to DC in the
Okay, anywhere,
1970s?
anywhere,
I
anywhere.
just gave you the perfect example because Marion Barry DC people did not have money back in the 60s. DC people were very broke, but the thing that we did have was the numbers. We were like 80 something percent, 80 DC at that time was 80 some percent Black. And this man came in and he spoke the language of the people. He was from the people, and he got in that office and he held the office because of the numbers. Even when they entrapped him and he came back out of being entrapped, he got the mayoralship again because he had the numbers, he had the people. So he didn't have money. People didn't have money that back then, brother. I mean, I know that's before your time, and I'm not belittle you or anything because we talking the early 70s, right? I know you weren't here then, right? Because you got sister
Yeah,
13.
May,
yeah,
may I offer may
I
I
know.
offer a rebuttal?
You
May I
got a
offer a
sister
rebuttal to this
13,
study?
right?
Okay,
Because
because I have a
So
response to that.
when I say Marion Barry, you just gave the example of how a very poor people, but with the numbers, actually captured the political seat in order to allocate monies and funds and to our people. So
Okay,
Marion Barry is a prime example that
and
debunked what you just stated.
and shout out to Marion Barry. Shout out to Marion Barry. But
Yes,
my
sir.
thing is that doesn't change the plan. That doesn't change the game plan. The economy still comes first because since Marion Barry, you haven't seen another Marion Barry. because we don't have the economy to support that. There could be dozens of Marys and Barrys if we had the economy to support them. We only have that one-off Marion Barry because we don't have the economy to support another
It
Marion Barry. And
but
I'm not
like
saying I'm not
mhm.
saying politics are any less important. I'm not saying that's not important. I'm just saying if we don't have the economy, nothing else. There's nothing really we can expect politicians to really do like that. And the reason why Marion Barry was one of the reasons why Marion Barry was effective, even by your own statements, is that the major it was pretty much all black. It was
Oh
pretty much
yeah,
the mayor
Chocolate
of an
City.
all black city.
Exactly.
So
It
if
was
you
the
have
people. Yeah.
like I'm saying in Chicago is a little bit more diverse. It's not majority black. There's a very, very large black population here, but it's not majority black. So if you don't have majority people voting for you and you have other people who are against your campaign and they have the money to fund another person, what am I supposed to do? Because we can't act as if we can't put ourselves in that same one-off situation. What we have to, the agenda we have to follow has to be applicable everywhere you go. And that's why I'm saying the economy comes first.
But you can't do the same agenda everywhere because the numbers and the data is not the same. Like what
Really
happens,
quickly.
what pops for me in DC is not going to necessarily work for you in Chicago. Like I said, I trust you know what you're talking about because you live there, but it may be applicable to Detroit that has a majority, black population. So it depends on where you are and how you get your supporters because you could always throw like what makes black people want to vote for somebody that's not black is that hopefully it should be that that person has caveats or some plan in their agenda that does build something for that person, right? So that's all. I mean,
Really
I mean
quickly.
that's just where I got to push back because I'm from DC. So I saw the people rise over any money that was there, and I saw the power that came in with Marion Barry. Once he did get in that power and in that seat, he built the entire DC, Northern Virginia, and Maryland counties that surrounded with very wealthy people because before him mayors were not demanding that the federal government put people that were upwardly mobile in those spaces. So that's
Can I,
what
can
my
I ask
my
you a
example
question
is,
now?
and that I'll land.
And
Can I ask you a
also,
question?
Washington, D.C. is no longer a black city. Washington, D.C. is majority white. It's no
That's
longer the
what,
chocolate
that's
city.
what I was about to ask. I don't know who's my phone must be tweaking. Let me ask, how is DC doing now? She already kind of asked that question. How is
Yeah, it's
DC
for
doing now,
well,
though?
well, it's 45. Well, they got some crappy mayors in there since Marion Barry was the mayor, but that's part of the problem. And right now, yeah, it's 45%. It's like 45% black, and it's 45% white. And then I guess in between is a mixture. But this is one thing I will say, and let me give you this example. DC right now is 11.3% Hispanic. They have an office of Hispanics. And over the past 4 years, they've received 22 million extra dollars as a caveat because this is an office of Hispanics. Now, how much of that money out of the 45%, how much caveat or cherry on top, other than the regular benefits, do the black or the freedmen people get? The answer is zero because there is no office of freedmen affairs in Washington, D.C., and there absolutely should be. Now, what that is because people say, hey, we were the chocolate city. They did not establish it when they established they even have an office of Southeast Asian affairs, which is like 3%. But they're still getting a significant amount of the budget as a cherry on top for them. So even with an 11.3% of the population, and over the past 4 years, that group has gotten more. So it has nothing to do. This is money on top of it, even though they don't have the numbers, right?
I just
So
want to say really quickly in regards to the plan that you were reading off from Sandy Darity, correct? I was going to say that's the same plan that Tone Talks was touting about for years. I was just wanted to point out that Jason Black has done a broadcast where he broke down each and every myth and to basically show what has been saying, that at the end of the day, economics still would have to take precedent before politics. You can't name one group in America who politics superseded their economics. You can even, I know you said we can't compare ourselves to Asians, so okay, let's compare ourselves to those quote unquote Native Americans. The Native Americans still didn't have any political say so until first they got an economic base, even though I will say that the economic base that they got was granted to them via reparations from the federal government.
Right, exactly.
But I will say, when you get a chance, check out that broadcast done by the Black Authority where he broke down this plan line by line, and still at the end of it, the conclusion was economics still have to take precedent before politics. That is not to say politics are not important. Politics are very important, but we have to prioritize our economics first. And that's all I wanted to say really quickly.
I have my mouth muted. Okay, I'm saying I'm gonna let some of the people who haven't spoke yet. So I'm gonna start Black Beauty. You can speak, and then toast some more. I hope I'm not butchering your name. You guys already know I'm bad with names. So Black Beauty, you can unmute your mic.
Hi, I think I came like in the middle of the meeting where you guys were discussing about leadership and all of that. And I just think what distinguishes FBA from ADOS, obviously FBA is lineage based, it's not any leaders. And ADOS is very heavily focused on what their quote unquote leaders say, what they should do. And in my opinion, it's kind of cult like. They're very disrespectful towards the elders, like Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, like Dr. Claude Anderson. And those are elders who gave us the blueprint on this. And so any organization or people that tell you, you need to do what I say or else, that is not what Black people should be following. I think it's very abusive like to tell Black people, oh, you need to do this or that, or you can't be down with us. We need to get beyond that. We are adults. We need to be about getting what's rightfully ours, our reparations, building up our communities, not being about people. And if you want to follow a leader, great, that's fine. But at least have enough common sense to follow a leader that has the character of a leader. And causing conflicts and fallouts with everyone and causing so much discord amongst Black people, that to me is not characteristic of what we should be following, where we should be at. We should be about business. We should be about building up each other. We should be about collective uplift. We should not be about chaos and drama. So I think that's what distinguishes FBA from ADOS. And I just want us all to get on code and get on one accord. And that's really what we need to be right now in order to get what's ours. So that's about it. That's all I got to say.
Well, thank you. And I fully agree. Absolutely. You know, if there shouldn't be, we should all get on code. We're all victims of white supremacy. Okay. I know some people want to be at the top of the chart. They want the credit. It's not about credit. It's not about ego. It's about the agenda. The code is the leader.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Samore. I'm sorry. You can unmute yourself, bro.
Sorry, Afro, you just call me Tim.
Oh.
Let me know just let me know if I'm breaking up anything while I'm speaking. The only thing I just wanted to jump in on here, I wanted to kind of jump in like when Roz was here. I'm saying I'm like 50 miles from Roz. You know, I was kind of around during that time of Marion-Barry during the 70s. So speaking, you know, even with that, you know, it's kind of reversal of the things that we're talking about when we're talking about the expense part. even though during that time in DC they didn't have the money. They like she said, they had the numbers. So the numbers it kind of reversed today, because you also had a black person who actually looked out for black people's interests during that time. So now, in the different books that you read, even whether it be Dr. Dirty or Dr. Anderson, the things that they speak about, that's why they have that economic base. That's why they tell you to use that economic base first, because 9 times out of 10, those people that you're going to put in office, they might not actually speak up for or do for black people, like Amari and Barry and other places. So that's why that economic part, you literally got to buy these people sometime to get them to do what they're supposed to do. So I'll always stick to that. The economics comes first before the political part. Because you can get anybody in office if you get a few numbers, but will they do what they're supposed to do? Because everybody's not going to identify as black or FBA or DAS or however you go. And I'll end right there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And conversations, spaces like this is important, because this is about us getting order. We need order, okay? And we have a whole bunch of people trying to say things and speak on issues. And I'm not specifically saying this about anybody in particular, but just about the ADOS and FBA thing. We have people speaking on issues and they're not qualified to speak. We have people speaking on issues and they're putting themselves on this pedestal that they, first off, don't deserve to be on. They don't have the credibility to be on the pedestal that they want to put themselves on, and they're doing it with bad intentions. Okay, if you are, like our sister Black Beauty says, if you are going to follow somebody, if you are going to support somebody because that person has good intentions. Okay, and I believe that this space has exposed the fact, and this space and the previous space exposed the fact that Yvette and Carnell have their own personal gain. Okay, because their agenda is spiraling down. First they were talking about not voting. We have to, stick on code. This is about a lineage. Then it was support Byron Allen for whatever reason. That went nowhere. Then it's vote down ballot. Then they're kicking people out of ADOS. They're blocking anybody who doesn't worship their feet. Like, all this childishness. They're attacking anybody left and right. It's like a I don't even know what to put it. I don't even really know how to put it. But the thing is that we have so many black people who still have, and I know them personally, who like, well, yeah, I'm ADOS and I'm FBA. I'm all like, well, the thing is that anybody who's rocking ADOS is only rocking ADOS because they support either Yvette or Tone. And Yvette is the one who's claiming she's the mother of everybody. So everybody who's supporting ADOS clearly is the children of Yvette. And I guess if you have some mommy issues or something like that, then maybe you need to get some counseling. Maybe you need to get some therapy, or maybe you need to talk to your own mother about that. I have a mother. If I didn't, I wouldn't want Yvette to be that though. So I'm not sure what their problem is. But
You don't want to stud mommy?
No, I'm cool. I'm cool.
Hey, Afro, and just getting back to this, like we I think I heard somebody mention the block list. I was around doing the original block list where they weren't just blocking people, they weren't just going around blocking your account. They were doing all kind of docs and stuff. It was just like dealing with a group of white supremacists, sort of. If you're around doing the original block stuff,
Yeah,
I, I can name plenty of people who lost their accounts.
They got two of my accounts.
You know, social security numbers out there. Tariq's wasn't the only one, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's kind of, when I kind of just look at, like that, I'm saying there are a couple splinter groups out there. Some people are really down and about it, but far and wide, I just see some. It was just a bunch of mixed up individuals. Like I said, this is my only account, and I've almost lost it like twice, just because just dealing with that group within just a period of about 6 or 7 months. So I had buddies here that tried to open up a chapter, and how they came after him. It's just crazy. So I kind of stay away from anybody who kind of still has that philosophy, in that, in their name, in their title name and all that stuff. So it's kind of crazy.
Nino said this: you have to be careful with who you associate with. There are certain people, and I'm not going to necessarily drop any names, but I feel like if you know, you know. And if you don't know, you're probably going to find out sooner than later. But there are certain people that I've been kind of watching very closely, and they say good things sometimes, and they say they rock with us sometimes, but the way they move is very questionable. And you have to watch those people. You have to watch the people that you're associated with. Okay. Now the names I will mention, I'm not gonna mention those names right now. I feel like sooner than later those names will come out though. But the names I will mention, Yvette and Tone have shown that they're kind of narcissistic. They're either A, narcissistic, or B, democratic Agents. I said Asians. Okay. They're either one of those two. And either of those two, they're not beneficial to black society. Neither one of them are beneficial to black society. They're out here putting people's social security information out there. Like what is Tim
I
said,
was one
like
of
some
these
white
people.
supremacists would do. Why would you ruin some, you don't know what that person could have, kids, a family, like why would you ruin somebody's life, like because you disagree with them on Twitter? Why would you do that? Now, what's crazy is for the people who still support ADOS as they're putting forth FBA, Social Security, and their personal information out there. I haven't seen them do that to one single white supremacist. They're out here putting other black people's personal social security information out on the public internet where anybody can see. They're doxing other black people who they claim they're advocating for, because Yvette claims she advocates for ADOS and she's the mother of ADOS, but she's allowing her people to do this. She's sending her people to dox us. But I haven't seen her do that to a single white supremacist. None of the ADOS people are doxing them. So that should tell you who's real and who's fake there.
Hey, what they say they're allies, so that's why they ain't doxing them. So they just coming hard at other black people. That's how I saw it. That's how I still see it too.
Yeah, that's how I see it. The whole Byron Allen thing, that was fake. I'm like, Byron. First off, let me give you guys a little bit of advice, something I've learned. Anytime you see a black person who just can't, who springs up out of completely nowhere, and next thing you know, they're the talk of the town, everybody's talking about them, and nobody knows where they're from, nobody can advocate for them, nobody knows what work they've done. They're just, they weren't there yesterday, they're here today, and now everybody's talking about them. They have millions of people watching and retweeting them. Always watch those people, and more than likely those people will eventually out themselves, because they've been placed there. The real ones have been here for a while. The real ones start from the bottom and work their way up to the top. So anybody who's just been placed at the top, that's a telltale sign that, yeah, they probably been placed there. This is probably some agent work right there. So that's why I say, and this isn't necessarily, this isn't all about ADOS, but just when it comes to people you associate with in general, um I've seen other black profiles. What's that basketball dude's name, or ex-basketball dude's name, Kwame Brown or whatever his name is. He just came out of nowhere. He wasn't advocating for black people at all through his entire career. Then next thing you know, everybody's making videos about him. He's making a whole bunch of videos like he's this big thing. And he's been exposed. You have other black people like that. I don't have to name drop. I don't have to name drop anybody. But this is just something that you should know going forward. Anybody who just comes out of nowhere and they haven't put forth any work, they can't show you what work they put in, and they're telling you that they need to be followed. They haven't put in any work, but the people who have put in work, they're against those people. Those are agents. They're either agents for their own personal gain, or they're agents for the white supremacy. Either way, they're enemies to us.
Yeah,
Briefly.
and check their track record. Like, what has Tone and Yvette done for Black people? What have they done for Black American society? The receipts will come back as zero, nothing. And they shit on Tyreek a lot, but Tyreek has put in work. Tyreek has credibility, They don't. So a former prosecutor and somebody living in their mama's basement really can't tell me shit. I'm sorry. Excuse my French.
A
Now
failed
go ahead.
attorney at that. A failed attorney at that, because let's not forget that Tone was the representative of Freeway Rick Ross. And we see what
Freeway ain't
happened.
got nothing to this day.
Right.
They have so many movies made after him, TV shows, a rapper going around, representing himself as him, and he don't have anything but Tone representing him. Okay.
Freeway lost so much of his own identity. I was watching the Vicky Diller stream, I want to say over the summer, and Vicky was talking about Freeway Rick Ross, and one of Vicky's mods was in the room talking about, hey, I don't see Rick Ross anywhere, do y'all? Not realizing that Freeway is the real Rick Ross. She was expecting to see Ricky Ross, the rapper. But that just shows how much of a failed attorney Tone Talks is.
Bruh, well, they got a whole TV show on right now about Freeway Rick Ross that comes on well, I forget the network it comes on, but I don't think he get it down from.
Snowfall. My Snowfall?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. FX.
If I'm not mistaken, Freeway said out of his own mouth that he regret hiring Tone because he lost everything.
Yeah, the thing is, unfortunately, like I said, man, I wasn't rocking with Yvette off the top just because of what she said about Dr. Wilson, and she got balls all of a sudden after Dr. Wilson died to start talking shit about her, all because of Dr. Wilson's stance on LGBT, the alternative lifestyle. And anybody that knows Dr. Wilson knows that she's not a hateful person. She was saying it strictly from a survival standpoint, basically saying like that lifestyle is not conducive to the survivability of Black people. And Yvette took so much offense to that she waited till that woman died and started trying to drag her name through the mud, But we all got on cold and kind of let that slide a little bit when she started, pushing reparations, because I guess that was something that we all agreed on. But, Yvette showed her true colors even then, because then she started dragging Dr. Claude Anderson. It's like, well, damn, how you gonna call yourself the mother of reparations, but you shitting on the man who's been pushing for reparations harder than anybody in recent memory?
Hey Nino, didn't she go after Malcolm too?
I wouldn't doubt it. I can't speak on it definitively, but I wouldn't doubt it.
I gotta go pretty soon, so I'm not gonna be on much longer. I'm gonna let you come on, and you can say what you have to say. Then I'll get everybody's final words, and then I'll make my final statement and close the space. But you guys, if you guys are just now following, you guys can see this space is being recorded, so you can check back in. I made another space. I've been on space since like 5 o'clock, almost 5 hours. And I'm going to record these spaces and put them on my YouTube channel on Afro Elite on YouTube, so you guys can check that out. Show, you can unmute yourself.
Oh yeah, man. I was just surprised, man, because I didn't know Dude represented Rick Ross. I knew Rick Ross lost, but I didn't know Dude represented him. So I'm thinking, was that a setup? Did Dude take something on the back end, to set up him losing that case, man? Because that was plain. I mean, Rick Ross admitted that he followed his, rap career, after Freeway Ricky Ross. So I'm starting to question, Dude motives.
That's a good thing too. Was he sabotaged? That's a really good question that we can look into. I realized that Yvette, even if he didn't sabotage, I realized he was a shitty lawyer when HR 40, the HR 40 bill came out, and he was trying to push HR 40, and then Jason Black had to make a broadcast breaking HR 40 down and why HR 40 shouldn't be supported, and then Tone stopped supporting it. So Tone was the one talking about, yeah, we should support HR 40. And then Jason said, actually, HR 40 is a fraud. Then Tone followed Jason. So they've been following behind Jason and Tariq the entire time. They don't know what they're doing. If, and that's only if they have good intentions, which, to be honest, I personally don't believe they do. If they have good intention, they're just too dumb to be followed anyway. But I'm gonna let you guys, if you guys want to, leave your final comments before I close the space.
I guess the only thing I really want to leave the family with is, man, vet these people before you start co-signing them, because remember, a broken clock is right twice a day. Even when it comes down to Joe Rogan, for example, he may say some good things, that we may agree with regarding the shots, but he's still a racist. Just like Candace Owens. Candace Owens may say some things regarding the Democrats, but she's still a bad witch. You know what I'm saying? Like, a broken clock is right twice a day. Just because somebody says something that you may agree with once or twice, that does not mean you need to put your full weight of support behind them. And that's all I want to say.
Okay, cool. Chief C, um, if you wanted to make a comment before I close the space.
Yeah, I just wanted to say peace to you, brother. Halfway leave real quick. You always be dropping some gems. This is my second time tapping into one of your spaces, so I just wanted to give you your propers as you continue to stomp for Black America as usual. But as far as Tone and fucking Yvette Cornell, we they gave us so many indicators of how they were trying to hijack the entire movement. If you follow them, they put out a lot of hit pieces, and then when their little beef, quote unquote, with Tariq started unfolding, and Tariq said, you know what, let me just throw in the motherfucking flag real quick, because something a little sketchy about them. And then when I saw it, the thing that gave it away for me was the caping for Byron Allen. They did such an excessive job of caping for Byron Allen and his whole case with the Supreme Court shit. I was just like, hold on, this ain't really about us. This is more about Byron Allen. And where the fuck has Byron Allen been since this whole shit is unpacked? Like, bruh, that was a scam. So I said, you know what? The jig is up. You guys got the whole LGBT shit going, and it's really not about foundational Black Americans or our reparations claim. And I land with that.
Yeah, speaking truth to power. Love to see it. Well, I'm about to end this space. I've been on space since 5 o'clock. Well, I started at 5 o'clock. It's almost 10 o'clock my time. So yeah, I got to get off this space. I got to get up and move around, get something to eat. I'm starving right now. You guys can watch this space if you guys like came in the middle part. The space is recorded, so you guys can always come back to the profile and check it out from the beginning. Shout out to all of the speakers. You guys spoke great facts. Even though there were some things that I disagreed with, and I'm gonna admit, yeah, there were some things that I disagreed with, but we had a respectful disagreement. I had another space about the same subject, so you guys can go check that out as well. Um, you can, and I talk about these things on my YouTube channel too. So I'm gonna start recording the spaces, and I'm gonna start putting that on my YouTube channel as well, so you guys can go check that out. The link to that is in the bio as well. Once again, my brothers and sisters, my FBA family, I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank you all for listening to me and for listening to the speakers as well. Okay, now I got to get off here. I hope you guys have a good rest of your night.